So, Cobra. So I had heard a bunch of different podcasts, different videos, read a whole bunch of different shit on Facebook groups about GI Joe, and I listened to people talk about Cobra and what they think Cobra can and can't do, or should and should not do, and essentially, a lot of fans want to strip the creativity and the uniqueness from Cobra. And to me, it just is like, how do you even get to that point, given that this organization is run by a dude from Parts Unknown in a metal mask, then another guy with a metal mask that can talk, and the mask moves, and you know what I mean? And then, a bunch of Australian bikers that are enforcers, and one of these Australian bikers can, change color in the sunlight. His voice is all echoey and shit. And he's a master of
He's
disguise.
basically a fucking vampire.
Yeah,
let's just say.
It's like, are you serious? Or the whole, we can get into the whole Cobra Law aspect. We can start talking about them using robotic soldiers as their, part of their infantry. There's so much that does not even fall close to the radar of, like, what realistic terrorism is. How the fuck do people think that Cobra is just another generic terrorist organization? It just doesn't make sense to me. So I guess what we wanted to talk about, or what I wanted to talk about, is what I think Cobra is, how I think they should work, and examples of some other things that I would liken Cobra to, that's out there in the pop culture sphere or whatever. But I guess before we jump into it, how has your collection stuff been going?
It's been going good. I recently picked up a couple more new things. I picked up the Mean Dog.
Oh yeah, I got that for my older son a couple Christmases ago.
Yeah, I got it. I mean, they don't really go for much.
Nah,
either.
They don't. Not at all.
And I also picked up the Sea Ray.
Yeah, that's not a bad one.
And yeah, it's okay. But I got both of those dirt cheap, and I got a couple more Devil Fishes.
Yeah,
just because I love those boats.
Yeah,
I got this was a big mistake on my part. I picked up the Armadillo versus the Air Chariot 2-pack, 25th anniversary. Oh man, is that a bad one?
Really?
But I did only get it for like, what was it, $17-18?
Oh, that's not bad at all.
At a super, it was at a super fleet, so I picked that up for that. But also grabbed the Hurricane VTOL.
Yeah, that thing's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's got some issues with it though. The wings constantly want to flop
yeah, I was gonna say, like, turn
position.
Exactly.
They're
like
really annoying.
Back or forward. I think it's back heavy. The wings themselves are back heavy.
Yeah, they're back heavy. Yeah. But that, and I got the mobile command center that
You lucky motherfucker.
I like.
I want that thing so bad.
At an estate sale.
I know, man. The price you got it for. Holy shit. I wish.
And $70.
And it's complete, you said, pretty much?
What? 100% complete. The only thing that was wrong with it was there's tabs where the cockpit kind of slides up and down.
Uh-huh.
And one tab on the right side is snapped off. That's it. And then there's one tab where the gun on the passenger side, or the right side, I'm so used to saying passenger side, on the right side of the cockpit is snapped off. That's it. Jesus. Everything else, all the missiles, everything's there. I got everything.
Damn. For
the elevator's there.
$70.
The little ramp that slides down is there. Everything.
Shit. That's like
got it with the driver. So
Jesus. That's like the best fine I think I've ever heard. $70. That thing goes for like $300 complete, like fully complete.
Yep.
2 if you're lucky.
And like the person that was selling it had like a ton of GI Joes. Like there was a ton of loose figures. There was a ton of mint on card stuff. Unfortunately, I don't collect vintage figures, so I let the next collector go for it. I got what I wanted. I wanted that the big vintage vehicles, because you know how much I love vintage vehicles.
Yeah.
And I let the next guy have it. You know what I mean? I don't need, just because it's there doesn't mean I need to get it.
Exactly.
Know?
And every once in a while, I mean, it's kind of paying it forward. There's people that will enjoy that particular piece more than, others. So.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if there was, if Beachhead was there and he was mint on card, I would have grabbed him. Or Dusty, or vice, my favorites.
Like your favorites.
Other than that, I don't really care to pick up,
Yeah, you don't have to get everything. I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's just unnecessary. Plus, I'm a modern collector, so.
Yeah. Nah, those are some serious finds, though, man. Shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I've had a good month.
I found
very good cost effective month.
Yeah, exactly. Nah, I'm trying to think. So I got the gunship finally from Rise of Cobra.
Nice.
I got the Republic gunship finally from I think the one I have is from Attack of the Clones. And I've got a bunch of my Paravipers all up in there. Because I'm gonna.
If you don't mind, how much did you pay for the gunship? If you don't mind me asking.
Like $30-something, maybe $40, and it's just missing.
Wow, that's such a good deal.
Yeah, it's missing like one missile in one of the front missile guns.
That's great.
Yeah, that's it. It had the floor is there, the two doors on the sides are there, the big missiles are there, the grapple or repelling lines are there. Yeah, everything's there. And
is it the one with the balls on the side?
Yeah.
Or without the balls?
Yeah. It's the one that's got the two, rotating, mini Death Star beam things.
Oh, it does have the balls on it? Holy shit, that thing goes for $200.
Yeah. Yeah, I got lucky. I mean, this one clearly is used and stuff. It has some scuffs. You can tell it was played with, but I don't mind because that just looks better to me. It has some type of, character to it. But I got that. I got the gunship. My brawler came in. There was something else that I picked up. Oh yeah, you already knew about the parts because you're the one that got them for me. The parts for the Defiant. But then I also got the side rail that I needed. The back left-hand corner. I got that whole rail. Mm-hmm. So now all I need for it to be complete, I need to find stickers, and I need to get the two rotating guns that are on the bottom, the gantry bottom portion, and then I'm done. Mm-hmm. And those two guns don't go for that much, so I'll probably have them real soon.
That's awesome.
And I picked up a Heat Viper. They grew on me for some reason. I was like, well, maybe.
You know what? It's funny that you just brought that up because I finally bought that 2-pack.
Yeah. Oh Lord, you bought the whole 2-pack. So you got
it was $8.
Oh wow. Yeah, I would have picked it up.
It was $8. I mean, you can't pass it up for $8.
That's true. That's a good deal. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of.
That was part of the flea market find too.
Oh, that's dope. The flea markets are awesome. I haven't been to one in a long time, but yeah, they're fucking helpful when it comes to finishing off little bits and pieces of your collection. What else did I get? I got another one of those Jetstorm rip cycles. You remember I had one that I had a Weaponsmith on? Well, I was playing Contra. I was playing Contra 3. And I was like, the Alien Wars, there's a stage where you're driving underneath like a ship, and both of you are on these big ass hogs and shit. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I need another one of these. So I got another one so that Gunman could be on a hog too. I'm gonna do some.
That's really cool.
I'm gonna do some artwork so you guys can see them in action. But yeah, it's kind of modest. I haven't really been. I haven't been looking for very much. I mean, right now I'm bidding on. And I got Ashiko. I had his bike because remember I got the bike last year when we went to that convention.
Yeah, at the show.
And then I just recently got the figure, so now that's all complete. But yeah, I haven't really been looking for that much. Pretty much now it's just, I mean, there's other things outside of G.I. Joe that I picked up because I always do. Like I got Shatterstar, the Marvel Legends Shatterstar, because it's the only one I've ever seen, and I was like, oh, let me get it. It's not really that amazing.
That's a really good figure. I love that.
But
figure.
I like it. Yeah, it's a character.
It reminds me of the Toy Biz version that I loved so much.
I had that one,
and I was like, oh my god, I loved that figure so much. I remember I used to bring that thing, that Cable and the Jim Lee, when they did the Jim Lee version with the light in his back, Cyclops.
Oh, Cyclops, yeah, I had
those three. I would bring everywhere when I was a kid.
Yeah, man, I found him, and I found my Street Fighter figures came, like I told you in the other video. They're freaking dope. They're easily the best of that style of figure so far.
Yeah.
There was something else that I got. I don't know. It'll come to me. Oh, Halo figures. I got a couple of those Mattel Halo figures that people don't seem to like, but they're like really good figures. I don't understand what the issue is.
Yeah, they're better than the shitty McFarlane ones.
Yeah, it's like the McFarlane ones beat the other ones when it comes to like the paint and like the super ridiculous accuracy, but that's because they were 3D printed from the 3D data from the game. These ones, were made as action figures first, and then they added the detail to work around, so that you can actually play with these figures, So if you pose them right, they look good on a shelf, and if you're playing with them, they're going to stand up to play, and you can actually make them do shit, So yeah, I'm cool with them. I don't care. I've been finding them for cheap. They were on clearance at Target for like $9 or $8, something like that. So I picked up two. I picked up Fred and Kelly, and I'm trying to get the rest of that wave. I think I only need like 2 more figures, and I'll have pretty much everything they've released.
Everyone's loss is your game. Bro.
I know, right? In this case, for sure. Because like a lot of times, it doesn't work like that. Where like everyone will hate on a thing, but then they'll all buy that thing, And I've pointed it out before because it's frustrating. You're like, seriously, I thought it sucks. You've been complaining about how bad it is, yet you all got it. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, I dig them. They're really cool. I'm trying to. I'm actually bidding on the Plague now. The Gallows and what's the other dude's name? I always forget his name. Gallows and where are you at, man? I'll find it.
While you're looking,
Grimskull.
I also picked up the that Cobra Hummer. Finally found it.
The Cobra Hummer? Oh, the 25th anniversary?
Rise of Cobra one, yeah.
Oh, the Steel Crusher. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, the Steel Crusher. I finally got that. I paid about $40 for it.
Yeah. I need the grill, that front crazy grill I have 2 of them, and one of them is kind of stripped, like there's no seats in it, and it doesn't even have the gun in the back, but it was a lot. The 2 came together, and one was complete, almost complete. It just didn't have that front spiky bumper thing, but it had everything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to find those, loose, and so I can, at least hook them up a little bit. It's a cool...
Worst case scenario, maybe they'll be there in September.
That's true. That's very true.
Remember that one dude had like
everything.
A ton of stuff.
Everything.
Oh my god, I hope he's back this year.
If he is, that bug, I'm getting that bug. Like last time, I don't know why I didn't get the bug, but I'm gonna get it. I mean, I was so like hell bent on getting Defiant parts, but then no one had them, so
Yeah, because the bugs keep going up in price.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like I've seen them go for like $150, then I see them go for $90. It's usually the $90 to $100 range for 100% complete.
I've seen them go for like $40. Like
really?
Remember the one you sent me one that was like $45, but that guy was a private seller. But yeah, I've seen them on eBay a couple times, you know, more than a couple times. So I know that there are, you know, there's cheaper ones out there that aren't going to break the bank, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I have an extra vector jet if you want it.
A vector jet? Vector
Yeah.
jet. That's the one with the dome at the back from Battle Force 2000.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, sure.
I'll bring it in September because I got one from Big Boy, Big Boy Collectibles. It was only like $15, so I grabbed that one. But the one that I have was kind of yellowed a little bit, and one of the clips on the canopy snapped.
Jeez.
So just letting you know. But you could have it. I don't need it anymore. I think I got it. The original one that I got was like $15 too.
Wow.
They don't really go. Yeah, they don't go for much.
Yeah.
My buddy also came through. My buddy that's part of the FSS club. My buddy lives in Arizona.
Yeah.
He came through and got me General Flag, the younger, the son. And he got me. He got me Mr. Hide and Go Seek. What's his name? Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Sneak Peek. Jesus.
Oh, Sneak Peek. Cool.
Yeah. So, and no, I didn't pay $40 for him. Thank God. Holy shit.
I know.
So basically, whatever he gets, whatever he doesn't want, he usually will sell me.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. That's a good deal.
Half the price that people are paying them for. I think General Flag is assholes are selling them for like $90, $100.
Of course they are. Of course they are. It doesn't surprise me at all because it's the way they do. Like I said, that's why I hate the term community. It's not a community if you're treating your people like shit, you know? So
yeah, they do.
That's the way they do. They're not hooking anybody up. It's like you're trying to get over. You don't need to sell them for that much. It's just ridiculous. It's too much. But
I'm trying to get all of the, and this will be cheap if I try to do it, but I have about 65% of all of the special mission individual issues. I'm trying to. I think I'm only missing like 10 issues.
I have all.
Maybe less than that.
I have all of the original special mission stuff. I don't have the, like, when IDW picked them up, you know, they started doing it too.
I'm talking Marvel.
Yeah, I have almost the whole Marvel run. I think I have the whole thing. I have up to, I do have the whole thing, because I have up to when IDW was doing Infestation, I think it was. That's the review I have coming up. Cujo, I promise. It's scheduled. It's coming. I've been swamped with so much shit that I'm like, you know, it's in the, you know, it's in the chamber. So it's getting ready to fire. But yeah, I have up to, I think it's Infestation. So I have, you know, the whole 80s run, the 90s run. I got the Snake Eyes miniseries, which is fucking garbage.
Yeah,
it's like G.I. Joe and Snake Eyes and G.I. Joe. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said in my interview I did. I hated that. When it turned into that, I was like, I can't read this shit anymore.
I lost it, man. I'm like, no. I don't care how cool the generic dude in black is. He doesn't get to be like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not the Joe team. That's why you have hundreds upon hundreds of specialists from all over the world. You don't get to make them, you don't get to invalidate them because you got one guy dressed in all black. There's other guys wearing black that are awesome too, you know?
They got caught up in that character design.
God, and he looked like shit during that time. That's when everybody had those really bad superhero costumes. Like, I think Scarlet was wearing like her Ninja Force costume, which is terrible. Yes, I said it's terrible. I know people can be like, I love it. You can love it. It's okay. But just be aware, it's not a cool costume, you know? People dissed the first Captain America, well, the first costume that Cap wore in the Avengers. Okay, if that's bad, then her costume is fucking terrible. So, yeah.
How was that bad?
They're like, he looks ridiculous. I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's
what? Because it's not dull. There's not dull colors.
Well, because it's more. Fuck out of here. It's more superhero and less tactical, you know. And then over the years, they've definitely mastered the whole tactical appearance by making it the Ultimates design, you know. So,
Yeah.
Whatever. I get it, but I still think, her design is garbage. Her design
Yeah.
in the Ninja Force, most of the designs, fucking shebang. I mean, the man's name is Shebang. Come on now. No, no, just no. I mean, and I know people have this whole nostalgia boner shit going on, and that's cool, but it only goes so far. I'm kind of this nostalgia, fueled, all these nostalgia fueled collections. It's getting old and tired. We collect because when we were kids, there were things we missed out on, and I get that. My family wasn't rich, so I didn't have a lot of shit. So now, I have okay money. I can get a lot of the shit, most of the shit that I didn't get when I was a kid. So, that's what I'm doing. But that's not the only thing I'm doing with my collection, So, the nostalgia thing, it's like, yeah, it's well and good in certain situations, but if that's the whole thing, I'm like, you're missing out. Because, some of that shit, like I just got, my wife went to she was at the thrift store, and she found the Superpowers Joker and Penguin. And I was like,
oh, wow.
I was like, holy shit, for like $2. I was like, what?
Wow, that's great.
It's insane. I was like, what? So, like, at first I didn't notice. I didn't realize. And then I was like, wait a second. I squeezed his legs and the arms started moving. I started cracking up like, wow, these are the fucking Superpowers figures, man. And I didn't have these when I was a kid. I had the Toy Biz remolds of those figures.
I just remember when like when we were kids and like how important our action figures were to us.
Oh yeah.
It's like still the same way for us now, but it was almost like a different. Like I remember when I would get a new action figure, how important, how like special it was.
Yeah.
Like when my dad would bring, oh, I got you G.I. Joe, like randomly out of nowhere, and I'd be like, whoa, what? And I would like that whole day. And the rest of the week was devoted to
that figure,
making up stories with this new character and bringing him in, and you know what I mean. Like that was like it was like an event to get a new action figure.
Hell yeah! And especially if you didn't have like a whole bunch of that particular line, then you had to figure out a way to work him into the universe that you have. Like, what does he do? Who does he fight? Like. Where does he live in your room?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, man, it was important. I don't think a lot of people get that. I noticed that, and I mean, this isn't like a knock against them, but I think that it's something that definitely separates I know it separates me from some of these collectors, is that like, if as a kid you didn't have all this shit, then when you get it, it means something. But if you had all this shit when you were a kid, and you just continued into your adulthood having all this shit because you could, then it's not going to have the same meaning, and you can see it. It doesn't. For a lot of folks, it's more of like the whole bragging rights thing. I didn't brag about shit growing up because I didn't have shit. So like now when I get it, it's awesome to me. I don't care if the rest of you guys in internet world or, around, if you don't like it, that's fine. It's not for you. It's for me. So, I like it. I have fun with it. You don't have to like it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to make you feel some kind of way that I got something that you didn't. That's why I hate the whole, like, the flag is the greatest thing ever, and people writing soliloquies and shit, and it's like, it's awesome, don't get me wrong, but you're just bragging for the sake of bragging. When you actually get down to it, it's a fucking table. And you know it is. Yep. It's a fucking expensive-ass table that doesn't hold all your G.I. Joes. It could hold... And
you have to have room for it.
Yeah. So it's
if you try to fit that shit in an apartment, unless it's like a fucking studio, like, those studio apartments that are kind of like wide open.
Oh, you mean like
unless it's like
a loft.
Like
a loft.
A loft, a loft apartment, sorry.
Yeah.
Unless it's like one of those, like, you really gotta weigh your options. You know what I mean? Like, I finally have a house, and I just got a house last September. I finally got a house, and I can, like, start thinking about maybe in the future putting it somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if I get one.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Like, as I got older, I mean, I have a house too, and it's like, I thought about it, and I'm just like, that's like real estate in my man cave that I could actually use for other shit. Because I'm not going to move it.
Oh, of course.
So and I'm not bragging about it. So yeah, I'm good. I'll just get the bases that I can actually move around and do shit with them, you know? So like,
yeah,
when we think about this shit, like it's one thing to imagine how awesome something is as a child. Then it's a whole nother thing once you're an adult and you have the shit.
Yeah.
You see it in real life and you're like, okay, this is kind of unrealistic. Like let me
yeah, exactly.
let me do something different with my stuff, you know? Like I mean, and everybody's different, but I think if you actually sit down and think about it, it's like, yeah, this is a table. Maybe I should get, you know, something I can actually do stuff with, you know, rather than just another shelf to put shit on. Because that's what's going to happen. And then you're going to find out that it'll buckle under its own weight, let alone the weight of all the other shit you're going to put on it. And it's not that sound of a investment. At least to me, it's not. So, you know, this is just one of those things that I thought about. And it's like the nostalgia part is what fuels a lot of folks to kind of, you know, go ham with that. I mean, to each their own in the end. You do what works for you. But I still feel like, you know, that's an example of being colored 100% by your nostalgia. Because as soon as you get it and you put a couple planes on it, you're going to be like, fuck, I can't fit more than 2 or 3 Sky Strikers on here with their landing gear up because or down because the wings are out too, you know? And it becomes a chore. So, I don't know. But, yeah.
Or you can fit one Beast Bomber on there and that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. Good God.
One Beast Bomber.
Can you imagine that? Or one of the
so big,
or
man.
one of the sharks? Like, yeah, that's it. One of the AC-130s.
Yeah, that's about it, man.
That's it, yeah. Holy shit. Yeah, you would be, yeah. Like, you could fit a ton you could fit a ton of the smaller
You could fit it
vehicles.
on there, but it's not going to take off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's an emergency landing, yeah.
Yeah, we're just landing it here. We're not going to move it off ever.
But you know, I mean, if I had a giant house, I'd probably be like, yeah, I'll get a flag and I'll have an area somewhere in the middle of the house dedicated just to that, you know. But I feel like that's an example of you know, my mom and them used to say, it's when your eyes are hungrier than your belly is. Like
that's true.
You see all this food.
I've never heard that before.
Oh yeah, that's one of those Guyanese sayings, you know. My mom would, because we'd want all this candy or all this, you know, food, because you think you're hungry, and then you get it and you're like, fuck, I can't even eat half of this shit.
Yeah. I know, this is a good idea. This is a bad idea now.
I didn't think this through. And
no.
It's one of those things, man. It's like your eyes see it and you're like, shit, when I was a kid, I wanted it so bad. And you get it and it's like, fuck, now I got to make room for this damn thing. And it's something else is going to get pushed away so that you can put that thing out and it's going to do nothing. You're not going to move it. So, you know, but in the end, everybody always does what they're going to do. So, you know, the people who can afford it and make room for it and want to go through all that, I guess they will go through it. But, yeah, I've kind of, the nostalgia.
One day I'll get one. I know I'm going to get one.
Yeah. I'm over it.
I have an attic space for it, so I'll eventually get it.
See,
I even have a table up there.
You made space for it. See, so there you go.
Yeah.
You came up with a solution to the space problem.
One day.
Yeah. Yeah,
exactly.
I just want to MC.
Plus, I mean, you got to find the right one, you know? You can't just, like, I don't know. Because I see a lot of them, like, on eBay, and I'm like, they always say 100% complete, but they're never 100%.
They're not, yeah.
They're like 100% complete. And then they're like, I always check out the item description. It's like, it's only missing this.
Exactly.
All the wide clips.
Exactly.
And it's like, wait, how is it complete?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. They're just trying to get rid of it, though, because everybody watched, like, Pawn Stars or some shit and was like... They're like, oh, the dude paid a couple, you know, several grand for this thing, man. It was in the box. I could do the same thing. It's like, hey, whatever works for you. But, so, Cobra.
Yeah, all right.
I know, we went off, man. We were like falling off the deep end with that one. Um, so Cobra, I feel like Cobra as an organization is like the king dingling of terrorist organizations. They're not just the fucking jihad or some shit like that. They're not just some fucking generic concept, like a real world concept of terrorism. That's there, but there's so much more. I want to say it was in the early IDW runs of G.I. Joe, and I've mentioned this in other videos. Cobra was this like clandestine organization that would kind of move behind the scenes. I mean, they'd cause disturbances to keep you off kilter, but behind the scenes, they were doing all kinds of dirt. You know, they'd move into third world countries, boost the economy, insert their fucking CGs in there, and eventually they would bring up the economy of these countries, these poorer countries, and make them a power, you know, make them viable. But no one knows, you know, that the people on the inside are all Cobra. Like the people in the infrastructure are all Cobra. And they're doing this all over the world, you know? So they're already planted in places all over the world. So they're controlling all kinds of shit, you know? This is like Illuminati level type shit, you know? So that people actually have a frame of reference, you know, of something to compare it to. It's not a bunch of poor guys in some Middle Eastern country or some, you know, Eastern European country or something that, you know, they got a couple RPGs and AKs and they want to, you know, start a revolution. That's not Cobra. But it seems like when you hear people rationalize some of the figures that they, you know, they like or they dislike, they've, in their minds, kind of turned Cobra into this super simplistic organization, and it's like you're missing the point. I don't know. How do you see Cobra? So that I don't end up just going off again.
No, go ahead. Finish what you were gonna say. Go ahead.
No, I just see him as like such a bigger threat, which was the whole point of you know, getting operatives from all over the world, from various governments, various militaries, to get together to fight this threat. Because they're a worldwide threat, you know? Like, the freaking, you know, various jihads, they're a threat to the imminent threat to the soldiers that they deal with, you know, daily, and they're a threat to specific places, you know, of importance throughout the world. But Cobra is like, all at once, it's a threat to the world, all at the same time. From within, from outside, from, you know, all corners, they're a threat. That's why I don't put anything past them. I don't see why, you know, zombie vipers and the whole Chemical Z plot is it's just too much. That's not, Cobra wouldn't do that. It's chemical warfare. It just happened to turn the people into fucking zombies. Or biological, you know, / chemical warfare. Freaking bats, you know? I always felt like
bats are scary. They were just used wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they're designed a little bit less cartoony,
yes,
then they become more of a threat. You know, if you go more Metal Gear and less a real American hero, then they become like, holy shit, like these things could show up anywhere. And you think about it, if extremists could run around with bombs on their bodies, what, you know, and they're sacrificing themselves willingly, why wouldn't robots that are infantry be able to do the same shit? You know what I mean?
Like Terminator.
Exactly, and they could just go off whenever if the mission is going awry, and it's like a Hail Mary, and they could take all kinds of people with them, you know? So, you know, I don't see these things as just, oh, it's sci-fi, it's goofy, it's done. No, you got to think outside of the box. Think bigger instead of thinking so small, you know, and that's what we constantly hear. No, I don't think Cobra Law is stupid. No, but like, if these people want to wipe out certain sets of people so they can control everything because they feel like humanity has kind of fucked up and taken what's rightfully theirs, that's the perfect motivation for all this crazy shit. And the fact that, like, G.I. Joe always seems to meet Cobra with excessive force. Like, force to the point where it's like you're sacrificing. Like, if they shoot those missiles on the fucking Rolling Thunder off, Holy shit. Like, those fucking towers, the rocket towers, if they shoot those things off, those giant rockets, could you imagine what... There's smaller rockets in there. Like, G.I. Joe's literally...
It's the total destruction.
Yeah, it's like they're going to sacrifice whatever it is they're trying to save once they fire that shit off.
Exactly.
So, like, you think about how the Joes deal with Cobra. They're like, I'm going to wipe them off the face of the planet in the most ignorant way possible, you know? The thunderclap, look at that fucking gun, you know? And they kind of have to, but at the same time, you look at Cobra Law, and it's like they kind of have a just reason to be pissed at, you know, humanity. So if you're if they're saying, you know, we used to be at the top, you guys took that spot from us, and we want it back, there you go. That's a motivation. It makes it a little bit deeper, and it plays on things that people have trouble believing, you know, concepts of, like, something older than the Earth. Like, you're moving into Cthulhu mythos and shit. You know what I mean? Like, Lovecraftian mythos and whatnot. And then that's a whole nother story. I'm glad they didn't go 100% into that world, because if they go 100%, then G.I. Joe is fucked. Because there's no way. I mean, that's like final solution. Everything's fucked. You know, Cthulhu shows up. It's done. But to have things inspired by that kind of thought, that's pretty dope. I mean, it's way outside the box, and it's a conflict that it stems from, like, the beginning of mankind to now.
Exactly.
So it's not just some corny, you and I disagree, so we send our forces to fight. No, this is like fucking at the basis of existence, you know, mankind's existence. You have this other group that was literally vying for, validity with mankind, and then they happen to get kicked aside. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it makes sense. So seeing the lengths, Cobra doing all kinds of crazy shit, eventually moving into space, and I don't see any reason why they need to be limited. I feel like it's fine. We're only limited by, you know, our imaginations, and that's what they're trying to tell you. Think crazier, and that's Cobra, you know? Think crazier and more tech.
That's exactly. I mean, you don't want to, you know, you don't want them running around like jihad. You know what I mean? Like, that's
so
I mean,
stupid.
what's the point? I mean, if the regular military can take care of that and keep that threat to a minimum, why would we need G.I. Joe for that?
Exactly.
Because G.I. Joe would wipe it out in like 3 seconds.
Exactly.
There's no point to even doing that if the regular military does that. G.I. Joe is meant for the biggest threat that they possibly have, and that's what Cobra is all about. Cobra is also, to me, like you were saying, it's got... I mean, growing up and watching and reading about Cobra, and I always thought that after the movie, that's where they were headed. They were headed, you know, that was the evolution of Cobra. That was where they were going story-wise, was Cobra Law. And I always thought that it made the most sense to go that route, and they just kind of abandoned it because some people didn't like it. And it's just like, well, maybe people would like it if you would have backed the idea and actually went all the way with it. You can't just, you know, just to tip it. You know what I mean? You can't just, you know what I mean?
You gotta go in.
You gotta go all the way.
Go in, leave the nuts hanging out.
Blue balls.
Yeah,
you know?
just leave the nuts hanging out.
Yeah, you can't. You're gonna get blue balls. You just do just the tip. That's no fun. It's not fun for you. It's not fun for your nuts.
All right.
So I mean, they kind of blue balled us fans that were really into that, and that's what G.I. Joe's all about. It's always been, you know, sci-fi mixed with some realism. You know what I mean? They shoot laser guns, for Christ's sake. And people don't want to say that, and people want to say that Cobra Law doesn't work.
Yeah.
Maybe their way of thinking doesn't work. The people that don't accept Cobra Law.
I just think it's one of those things where people have stifled. You're limiting yourself by by using the confines of real life to dictate what the Joeverse should be. Like, you see all the shit that they're doing. Like some of the specialties, you know, the various MOSs of these Joes, they don't see combat in real life. There's some of these cats, they don't ever even get a gun in their hand. You know what I mean? And like G.I. Joe has all of them on the front lines.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, you guys want to talk about realism? Like there's characters.
Look at all the characters from the Deke series.
Oh Lord! And then there's characters with specific ranks, right? That the rank, like their position in the Joe ranks versus their position in the military hierarchy. You know, it doesn't make sense. You know.
The ranking system's all jacked.
It's like all over the place. You know, Jason made points
all
about
over
that.
The place.
He made points about that, but I mean, it kind of goes to show you though that in G.I. Joe, they picked you for your specialty and your, like, maybe tenacity or how good you are in the field, period, not necessarily where you fall in the standard military system. You know, so it's like one of those things that you got to look at it differently. It's like, this is why Rise of Cobra, this is so weird. Like, the movie is starting to grow on me, but not all of it, just aspects of it. Like, I still think the fucking love triangle shit was dumb. But the way that the Joe team itself was handled, the way they're a giant organization and they're super covert, and, you know, Hawk is like, you don't ask, you get asked. You know what I mean? Like all that shit that you saw it you read it in the comics, but you had these weird misfit looking G.I. Joes, you know, that just were pulled straight from like military stereotypes and whatnot, visually, you know. In here, you got what looked like an organization. They got their own kind of uniform. They got their armor. They got their gear. You see them practicing in the backgrounds and stuff. And you felt like, holy shit, this is like a legit branch, like a secret branch of the military. It's like it's a true secret organization. You know what I mean? That with a heavy military focus. Like, I like that. It's the thing that's missing from the standard way that G.I. Joe operates. You know, like, it's too, in some ways, a lot of the way they handle the group is too piecemeal, where, like, you know, you couldn't tell that all these characters belong to the same organization other than the fact that they have a G.I. Joe logo somewhere on their costume. But in Rise of Cobra, you could clearly tell who the Joes were. I mean, when they were wearing all black, okay, that was kind of stupid because everybody was wearing all black. Oh, but, like, you know, when they're wearing their actual, like, the uniforms, the blue and gray and black uniforms, I was like, damn, that's actually kind of slick. And I notice it when I look at my Rise of Cobra shelf versus my regular G.I. Joe shelf. And it's like, damn, the Steel Brigade guys fit, the green shirts fit, the gray shirts fit, but then everybody else is all over the place. You know, you got Marines, you got, you know, your standard, you know, Rangers, your infantry, whatever, and they all look so different. I like the fact that they had them kind of a cohesive unit. But these are all things that, like, moving back to Cobra, they have that in spades. Like, if you look across all the Cobras from various lines, they always get this, like, the color scheme works, the faceless soldier or faceless villain or enemy motif works, and it has to, because you got to think about how big their forces have to be for them to be a threat worldwide. You know, they have to have like an enormous infantry. You know, because how else would you be
that? And some of them are meta.
Yeah.
You know, low level meta. I would say, like, if we're talking like X-Men,
no,
they would be like class
like 1
Z,
like yeah, they'd be like level
like
1
A through Z. They would be like Z.
Yeah, but I figure that's it. All this too is why I kept saying, like, I did a video where I was talking about how you make your Joe-verse work, especially if you're gonna share it with other people, like online. If you want to share it and you want it to look legit, you got to think about your theme and think about how all these things work. So, like, would your Cobra be not like, is your Cobra so simplistic that Batman could take them all out by himself? Or is your Cobra so simplistic or so advanced and such a threat that, like, Batman would need to team up with the Joes to take out one Cobra cell? You know what I mean? Not the whole organization.
Well, for me, it's got to be bigger. Like, it's almost like the Joes are almost...
They're screwed. Yeah,
like
that's the way I collect.
They're at the point where they're like, oh my god, like this is really bad.
Yep.
Like if we don't strike now, we don't do this now, we don't nip this in the bud now, it's going to get 10 times worse because they're far more advanced than we are. Especially, and that's why I want to kind of stick back to why Cobra La works so much better than the regular Cobra that we were brought into that world of Cobra from the get go, is because I also love the differences between, you know, you've got your Joes that have that man made feel to them, like everything that we have is man made and advanced to our ability. Where Cobra La is like, we use organic and we are far more advanced than you.
Yeah. Well, but that's
what I really like about that aspect too. It's like man-made versus organic.
But that's specifically when we're talking about just Cobra La. When we're talking about Cobra itself, the organization, they're using military tech just like the Joes are, but their tech is like it's like fucking Star Wars level shit. You know what I mean? In comparison.
Yeah, of course.
And that makes sense to me. Things that don't make sense are like, I mean, this is why I liked some of the tech. I liked most of the tech that was in Rise of Cobra. I love the gunship because I feel like that's what they should be flying around, not the Rattlers, because the Rattlers are not MiGs don't stand a chance against a fucking a Raptor or you know what I mean? Like maybe an F-16.
Yeah.
It would be kind of a fair fight or something, but F-16 is way faster. The MiGs are just more nimble, and I don't see it being that kind of fight. That's literally like you two are fighting on the same playing field or a similar playing field. I see Cobra like the way the Night Raven is so advanced and so fast and so crazy.
Yeah,
I see Cobra being like way advanced. They're not flying around in you know regular planes, and if they are, it's going to be some fast, overpowered shit. You know.
Exactly, and that's why I like the majority of Cobra's sea arsenal.
Oh yeah,
it's
they have some
because
good shit. It's weird.
It really looks advanced.
Yeah,
like when you look at the Hammerhead, that looks advanced.
Oh yeah, I love
it's got
that
a lot going on. It's got multiple submarines. It's got one pod on top that can actually detach and fly. It is an arsenal. That thing. The
agree.
Bug is another one that's a total arsenal on it. Yep. Like a lot of their sea arsenal is what it is. It's an arsenal. It's like you don't want to mess with it. They don't have. I noticed that a lot of this, like, there's not a lot of besides the Night Raven, the Rattler, and you know, I'll even use like the gunship stuff like that and the Hurricane. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of like day one Cobra vehicles that are airbound.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a lot of land and it's a lot of sea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you've got your HISS tanks and stuff like that, but it's mostly like I would say the majority of the Cobra arsenal is seabound because of Cobra Island, stuff like that.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Which makes sense for it because the Joes kind of have the air and they have the sea. Yeah, so it does kind of mix and match there. But I mean, you look at vehicles like that, and you can tell that Cobra is far more advanced than Joe.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I always would mix and match with like Star Wars vehicles and stuff because I always felt like Cobra needs to be clear that the Joes are they're outclassed. They're not outgunned, but they're outclassed. Like Cobra's using crazy shit that is running circles around the Joes technically. But because they're so pompous using that shit, that's why the Joes, their skills kind of put them on top. Like, it's literally, to me, like, the way Contra works. It's fucking grit and a powerful ass gun versus like aliens and giant robots and all kinds of crazy shit, and that's why you win.
And those guys don't even have shirts on. They don't even need shirts. That's how badass they are.
I know, right? At least in the first one. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, in the first one. Yeah.
I totally feel like that's the thing. I feel like the day-to-day small. They're not really small. In the real world, these things are big events, but in the grand scheme of the G.I. Joe verse, these things are smaller events. All the times that you have, some embassy gets attacked, or, they try to... Cobra kidnaps this delegate and replaces them with a synthoid or something. You know what I mean? I know that's from the cartoon and the early Marvel run, but I like the idea of synthoids. I think it's dope. Those things are small, but as they keep happening, it becomes a bigger issue for the Joes and for the world at large, because you don't know who's under Cobra's control. It's just like Hydra, because that's pretty much who Cobra was, because that was the whole point. This was all supposed to be Nick Fury and his Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And so a lot of the parallels that you have with, a lot of things you have with Hydra and Captain America and shit, you got it with Cobra. So they can't be some tiny little annoyance of an organization. They have to be a big, fucked up, like world-threatening nuisance. They can't be small.
Yeah, they can't be small time, because then what's the point?
Yeah, there's no
if
point.
There's not a large enough threat for G.I. Joe, and G.I. Joe can just get rid of them, what's the point of even Cobra at all?
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Because they're going to be wiped out immediately.
Yeah. It's so weird, man.
It's like the Joe... It wouldn't even need half the team, probably. Half the team would be sitting back at the headquarters like, so did you get called for the mission? Oh, you did. Oh, me neither. What are we going to do now?
And it's funny
because... Oh, you want to watch Seinfeld? Seinfeld? Sure, let's do that.
When you think about it, too, like, in that first episode, when the whole team goes to save Dr. Burkhart, they were still a big organization then, but they were in their infancy in comparison to what they became, like in recent years, what they've become. It's like, holy shit, man. It's like day and night. That Cobra, the OG-13 actually could, like, put a hurting on that group and, kind of damage their operations and slow them down. Now, that's not shit. Like, that's such a small drop in the bucket in comparison to what Cobra has become over the years. And I don't know why it's so hard for people to see them as more than just standard soldiers with standard weapons doing typical real-world shit. I don't understand why that... I mean, I guess I do understand it. I've already said why that is, but...
Well, yeah. Well, it's A, lack of imagination, and B, they're just stuck on their original version, and they can't get off of it. Well, they can't get away from that original version of Cobra.
Well, even the original version of Cobra was still... They were still a threat, though,
Yeah, they were, but, are we talking cartoon, or are we talking comics?
In the comics, initially, they were a threat, and the Joes were the answer to that threat. And they always showed, like in the early books, you clearly saw that the Joes were the better soldiers. It's just later...
Of course. Oh, yeah, of course.
Later on, it turned into, like, tactics, and then Cobra would do devious shit that would put the Joes kind of in these weird situations where they had to make big choices to figure out how to deal with, whatever, the threat may be. It wasn't just black and white, shoot that guy, he's the bad guy, he's shooting at us. That wasn't always the case. In like the newer shit, like I said, the stuff I think is the best was when they were doing the whole like infiltrating various countries and doing all that the shit that they had to have Chuckles join Cobra undercover in order to kill Cobra Commander. Like
Cobra Commander, yeah.
That shit. I loved all leading. I won't say everything, but most of that leading up to all that. Oh my god, Shit was dope. Even how they handled Serpentor and Golabulus. The whole thing was awesome, man. Like the whole Cobra La religion and stuff. Like it was awesome because it felt like they took the creative concept and then just wove or weaved it into the real world in a way that's...
And when's the last time we saw something original like that?
Yeah, they don't do it. They don't.
They don't do it. No one takes a risk anymore.
So, yeah, I totally am for, crazy-ass Cobra. If they're not crazy and huge and doing insane shit, then what's the point, guys like the Plague, attitude-wise, there's guys like that exist in real life. But, theatrically and, the look and everything, those guys don't exist in real life. Dressed like Darth Vader, running around, chopping heads off with a sword with a fucking skull on a spinal column with the skull attached for the handle. Yeah, that's not real life. That's clearly, it's theatricality. It's clearly, thematically correct for what they're trying to tell you is these guys are. They're super badass, evil-ass soldiers that used to be Cobra Eels and shit, or Cobra troopers and whatever. I dig that. Saw Viper, there's no dude running around, Afghanistan in purple, murking folks with a saw. You know what I mean? And a green visor looking like fucking Triclops from He-Man and shit. No. And I don't understand how you could see that and then be like, nah, it's realistic. And in real life, you got that guy and you're imagining a real world setting where that guy works. No, G.I. Joe is kind of its own thing. It can have parallels. I'm always cool with that. But you need to embrace the craziness of the universe that we are collecting. This is what they do. I mean, the Buzzbore, what part of that sentence, the Buzzbore, it's a fucking vehicle that rolls around and cuts through shit. What part of that would exist in real life? Or none of it. or the pogo or whatever. What the fuck? You know what I mean? No.
Yeah. Oh god. The
pogo. Or the other day, Prime was like, he was like, they fucking fly. The bad guys fly around in vehicles called trouble bubbles. He was like, what part of that is real life? I'm like, yeah, man, it's not. Nothing of it is. So I don't see.
And that's the point that we're getting to with all of this. Yeah. It's like. You gotta be able to have fun with Cobra. You know what I mean? If you just peg it as realistic, I don't know.
You're selling it short.
Where does it go from there then?
Yeah.
if Cobra is just realistic, where do you go from there then?
It's true.
How do you tell the story of Cobra as a threat if it's just on par or less than G.I. Joe? Do they have greater numbers? Do they take over half the world? Maybe that's your answer? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
they would have to have the population numbers then, if that's the case.
Exactly. There's got to be some area that makes them a credible threat other than, hey, they did a couple bad things. They have to be a credible threat. When you look at the weapons that they have, and it's kind of weird because every year there's 3, maybe 4 vehicles that are Cobra related. Maybe large vehicles. Well, Silver Mirage, that's not a Cobra vehicle, but it's not a small vehicle, I guess, so I can't say that completely. But you have a handful of vehicles for Cobra, and in the majority of every wave is it's all Joe vehicles. But
there they go with their 10 million Joe vehicles and no Cobra.
I mean, when you think about it, and it's funny because, even when I was a kid, we knew, the only base they had was the Terradrome. So we came up with other bases because we were like, they can't just have, one base. That's lame. They need to have, Terradromes all over the world, If Cobra Island is the source of all this craziness, despite it being, them having diplomatic immunity and fucking being recognized. No, it's sovereignty they have, actually. They're considered a sovereign state. Fuck that. We got to move it all over and get bigger, Because after you take down Cobra Island, then what's there for you in a realistic,
Exactly.
Cobra? There's
And
nothing
Cobra Island, to me, I kind of would like something like if it's Cobra Island, almost make it its own country, and
It is.
like similar to Doctor Doom,
Yeah,
how
it
he
is.
has jurisdiction over his own country.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You know what I mean?
They see it as it's a sovereign nation. They consider it its own nation, and they get it. That's why they can do all the shit they can do, and the Joes can't just show up. That's why that pack was kind of cool. The whole attack on Cobra Island, where you have a team kind of sneaking into Cobra Island. Like, that's dope. That's awesome. I just wish, more folks saw that. For me, when I play with my Cobras and stuff, and this is how it's always been, even when I didn't have a lot of Cobras, I would imagine that, they were this huge. Back then, I was big into like American Ninja and shit. And even in the later American Ninjas, you've seen those movies, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You remember how, like, in like the third and the fourth movie, there was like the whole big ninja organization that was trying to sell their ninjas to terrorist organizations to use as their foot soldiers and shit.
Yeah.
You'd see them in the background training, like throwing stars at like a big ass wooden dummy or some shit, and then the star would explode when it hits its mark. like I imagined like that's the kind of shit that Cobra was into back then. That's my little kid brain. They would sell their troops to other organizations and work with those organizations and get them stuff they would need to create the chaos all over the world. Meanwhile, Cobra just snatches officials and replace them. I was huge on the whole synthoid thing because it's like the life model decoys in Marvel. And I had read so much Marvel comics back then. I was super into Marvel back then. So it was like, this fits perfectly, You got terrorists using Cobra troopers and Cobra tech and stuff. And then you have, the actual Cobra sending like Firefly or Storm Shadow to kidnap these officials and replace them with fucking synthoids, and Cobra's in control, Another piece of the movie, the first movie that worked well, was the concept of, what's his name, Zartan impersonating the president after they snatch him up. Like, that was brilliant. Like, and it seemed like some shit that Zartan would very well do. Like, that's the point of being a master of disguise, Like,
yep.
That's the kind of devious, world-threatening shit that you would do. So, I honestly don't see the benefits of not going in that direction. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Cobra has to be devious, and that's like a lot of what has to do with my Joe verse as far as Joe lore.
Yeah.
A lot of Cobra is heavy into politics too, so they have. It's like the Joes really have to be Cobra because
exactly.
You know what I mean? They have part of the government in their pocket too. They have government officials in their pocket. They have stuff like that. You've got to make that huge threat. And I can't hammer that home enough. It's got to be a serious big deal.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It has to. And I'll reiterate, it's got to be the Joes are backed up to the wall, and they're like it's almost like, and I don't want to say they are a rogue organization, but it's almost like they have to take matters in their own hands. You know what I mean? They have to do what they have to do because it's the right thing to do as far as their outlook. I mean, there's
you talking about the Joes or Cobra?
Different points of view, but
yeah,
morals and values as far as common sense goes.
Yeah.
Blowing up half the world, it might seem great to Cobra, but it's not great to everyone else in the world, and it affects everyone. So that's what I mean by morals and values.
Yep. I agree. So what would you say now that we outlined all this stuff, and that's not to say that there are things that there could be things that Cobra may not utilize or may not do in a more hardcore universe. What kind of stuff would you think that they wouldn't use? Like, what kind of stuff would you say they would maybe in your verse that they don't, you haven't made part of Cobra in your universe?
No ninjas.
Oh, really? No, none at all.
I mean, they would all have martial arts training. Of course, you have to have that.
Of course, yeah.
It's a fucking necessity. You have to have it.
Yep.
But I'm not going to say in particular ninjas like Ninja Force.
Yeah,
Let's just go that route. None of that crap. Let's get that crap right out of here.
Sorry,
as
G.I.
far
Joe Berg.
as
Sorry, G.I.
as
Joe
far
Berg.
as what's that?
I said sorry, G.I. Joe Berg.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, it's not my cup of tea. Maybe it's other people's. Good, go nuts with it, but it's for me. It's not. I don't know. The other thing is that it's not going to be anything that pretty much nothing realism. Nothing as far as realism goes. Maybe some weapons here and there, but I really want like a lot of science because Cobra's always been really high on using science to their advantage.
Well, like,
too.
I would say that the realism would come from it'd be situational realism. So,
yes, exactly.
There are situations you could be in as a soldier. It doesn't matter what you're fighting. As long as it's an enemy trying to kill you, there's a realistic piece to that. And I get that. Relationships and friendships and bonds and blah, blah, blah. The conflicts, the way the conflicts happen, all that shit, obviously, that would be your realistic component. But, like, dumbing down all the weapons where, there's no lasers, there's no,
yeah, no, I don't, that shit's for the birds. It's not for me.
Because,
I'm not dumbing down weapons because it's, I don't know, taking away from them.
Yeah, it seems stupid to take away.
It seems stupid if it's already been established.
Yeah.
It's like, why would I take that away from them all of a sudden? Because I want the Joes to have regular guns?
Well, like...
It doesn't make logical sense.
To me, it doesn't.
I don't know.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help at all.
No.
I love when, like, like your basic Cobra troopers carry machine guns, but then your heavy Cobra troopers could carry, heavy machine guns or heavy lasers.
Sure, you can have classes, of course.
Exactly, and then that's where you go. How you sprinkle in your lasers and stuff, and then your specialty troops, like maybe your bats, they carry straight up lasers, like all of them.
Yeah, yeah, they have to. Yeah.
Or your security troops, like the Cobra troopers from Renegades, they came with.
I love those figures.
Lasers,
so
yeah, those are awesome. Let them be the guys with laser guns. You know what I'm saying? Like that's fine. It doesn't have to be all across the board, but it
has to make sense too. Like, I mean, if some people like the security ops are a little bit
like more
lighter with armor, give them lasers to kind of balance that too.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like I think like things like that they make sense. But continue. My bad. I'm all like interrupted. But yeah, go ahead. What else?
I mean, I would keep the vehicles have to be advanced to the point where, I mean, a lot of people diss a lot of the mid-90s vehicles, but I don't see a problem with a lot of them.
Just a new
I like the craziness. I just got the Brawler, and I love how crazy it is. I love it. I don't have one problem with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I even love even the color. At first, I was like, I want to paint it. The more I play around with it, I'm like, I'm just leaving it like that. That thing is
I'm just leaving it. I was going to do the exact same, and I'm leaving it.
It's loud as fuck. It looks like it's trying to draw your attention. When you see that thing, it's like, fuck, because if that thing busts through a wall and you're in that room, you're fucked. Like, you're just fucked.
It has everything you need. It has those mines on, they have what, 9 mines on it.
Yeah.
Or no, 12 mines on it, right? I think.
Yeah, it's like
12 mines on it. Okay, so they have mines. They have a huge cannon. Then they can get you so they can get you short range, long range, and medium range.
Yep.
Because it also has those two missile cannons that can adjust all the way vertical, completely vertical.
And then there's those
so they can launch heavy missile artillery at you.
Yep. And then there's the heavy machine guns on the sides.
Yep, heavy machine guns on the side. It can hit you any way, and that's another big reason why I've used that for my team. There's just so many cool different designs, and that's, I think, the best part about a lot of the mid-'90s stuff that people diss all the time because of the colors, is that the designs are good.
Yeah.
A lot of the designs are good. It's just, people don't like them because of the color choices. But
agree.
Especially on the Cobra side, it makes a lot more sense because Cobra's supposed to be different. It's not supposed to look real world. You know what I mean? That's you make them real world. What's the point?
Yeah.
Or they have to be heavy. They have to look real world as a cover, like let's say the Hummer, and then it is superior. It is advanced.
Yeah.
Underneath, you know what I mean? Like so, it's. Or like the gunship. The gunship to me, like it looks superior, or I should say not superior. It looks
inferior.
Kind of. It looks advanced, but it also comes off as low key. You know what I mean? Like there's not huge guns all over the place. You know what I mean? Like they have the two rocket launchers on each side, and they have the one mid-range machine gun in the front.
Yep.
And it's also a personnel carrier, so it makes a lot of sense what actually Rise of Cobra did. Even the revamping of the Night Raven looks fantastic. Yeah. I love that design for the Night Raven.
Thing, yeah. I mean, I want an original Night Raven as well, but I love that thing. It's not bad by any means.
Exactly. And hey, why the hell not? How long have we been holding the torch for Chat May and Leonard? And other companies, you know what I mean? A lot of that integration helps Cobra. Like the chopper helps Cobra. If you wanted to make the Beast Bomber, I've seen people repaint the Beast Bomber and make that part of Cobra too. If you wanted to go that route,
I'm planning on doing the same thing.
You can take the subtleties of a design and make it advanced, but as long as it's like hidden or something like that. Like I was saying, it's gotta somehow be advanced. In some way.
I agree.
Whether it's loud or whether it's subtle, make it advanced, as long as it's on the Cobra side.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. That's why I've integrated Star Wars shit into my...
that makes perfect sense.
My Cobra thing. I didn't go too far, so I'm not getting, the craziest looking ships, but stuff that kind of looks like along the lines of the gunship. I definitely made that,
the gunship is perfect. I've actually seen a couple people repaint them. One in all blue, and then one in all this dark, nice olive drab green, and it looks great on both ends. So
I saw a dude rebuild it so that it was big enough that you could put a bunch of guys in there. Now
really?
It sits 3 guys. Yeah, he rebuilt the whole body. He chopped off the front of this, took out the front and the back, and then took a body from some other Star Wars vehicle. I can't remember which one it was. And he fitted them together so that it was big enough that he could hold 8 guys, maybe 10 guys, maybe more than that in there. I'm going to look for it while we're talking.
You know what else works really well, and it kind of looks like this stiletto. Remember the stiletto?
Yeah, the Stellar Stiletto. Yeah,
Stellar Stiletto. The Jedi Starfighters. Those look just like Cobra to me.
Yeah, I got those
right out of Cobra.
Yeah, I got them. I use them all the time.
Yeah, those are awesome. I love the design of those. They're subtle, and you could even use those for your high-ranking officers. Those could be. Or whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, use your imagination however you want. But
exactly,
you could use those as personal vehicles for Destro or Cobra Commander or whatever the heck. New characters or whatever.
Yes, indeedy.
But that's the coolest thing. I think it's almost it's a lot easier to use to have more fun with Cobra than it almost is with GI Joe for me at least because I feel like Cobra doesn't have much.
They don't.
I feel bad for Cobra. They really don't when it comes to the toys.
Yeah, they don't. They don't have as much.
They just don't. It sucks.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be the advanced ones. You know what I mean?
I agree.
It sucks for them. I'm still trying to track down Cobra Mountain. I still want that thing.
Yeah. Cobra Mountain. Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be real cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, check out that. I just sent you the link. Check that out.
Okay. Check it.
It's pretty damn dope. But yeah, I feel people need to understand.
Oh wow! Look at that.
Yeah, that shit's insane.
What the hell did he use? He used pieces of the. Oh, it looks like he used. Oh, he used the Night Raven.
Which Night Raven?
The Rise of Cobra one.
For what?
He used pieces of the Night Raven.
Oh, pieces of it. Yeah. There's pieces of it there.
Yeah.
You talking about like the front?
It looks like the front, the cannons. He used those. Those are those rotating cannons that he used. He kept those. What else?
No, I think those rotating cannons came off of the because remember the ones for the Night Raven are internal. Those are the ones that came with the chopper,
maybe, yeah.
the Night Attack chopper.
You know
what I'm
you're
talking
right.
about?
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, you could pull those off. But yeah, if you look at the actual site or on Joe Customs or General Joe's, whatever, he explains what it was and he shows you the vehicles that he chopped up to make them. I remember seeing this years back and I was like, holy shit, like one of these days I'm going to try to do something like that. And then I saw it and I was like, nope, there's no way. there's no way.
I mean, that's a lot of work to take a couple different vehicles and, like, holy shit, that is a project on its own.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
But it's only two vehicles. It's the back end of the actual gunship. No.
Yeah.
No, it's not the back end of the gunship. It's the back end of something else. What is it?
Wait, I think it's the upside down version of the back of the gunship. Like he flipped it upside down, maybe?
You could be
That's
right.
What
No,
it's
different.
not.
It's
that
different.
tail's too long.
Yeah, it's like the double engines and the tail are all from the same helicopter or something, and then the body is from a Star Wars something or other, and then
Hold on a minute. I think I know what he did.
the lower wings are also from a Star Wars something. Like the front and the body are from a Star Wars vehicle, and so are the wings. I gotta look at what he said they were from. But
all right, the back portion. It looks like to me, I'm looking at my Night Raven right now, and those two exhaust ports on top where the back of the tail is. If you look at it from head straight on, and then you look at your Night Raven straight on, it looks like he cut those ports off, sanded down the top where the fins are on the top, and then he detached the wings, and then look, he blocked off where the missiles were.
Oh,
and it almost looks like he took out the missile launcher out of it, the
you're
mechanical
right.
missile launcher portion out of that, and then glue or somehow molded those together.
Yeah, he said,
and that's how you got that port.
He said it's the let's see, Imperial shuttle. That's part of it. That's the main part of it, like the body and the front.
Where's the recipe for this?
And then he said Imperial shuttle, aliens, evac fighter. That's what it is. and the sides of it
Aliens
are
evac fighter? I've never even heard of that.
it was like the it's kind of like the vector jet where it has this like cup thing at the back that you slam down on an alien and it encases them. Like there's like a.
Oh, okay.
It was cool. I wanted one of those. That's why I couldn't remember. I knew I saw that front before. So yeah, the cockpit is the aliens evac fighter with the sides of the direct-to-consumer his tank. The wings are from the evac fighter. The wing tips are from the Night Raven. The engines are from the Night Raven, like you said. The Dragon Hawk. The tail is from the Dragon Hawk. The Sigma 6
Hawk. Okay.
And I was about to look in that direction because I got one sitting right there. And then the cannons, like you said, Rise of Cobra, Night Raven. God damn.
That's a lot of work. Holy
I know.
Shit.
That's a lot of work.
God.
Yeah, for you guys listening, you should check out, do a search for Custom Cobra Gunship, Rise of Cobra Gunship. And you'll see it's a dude named Darko. He fucking made like the most amazing custom gunship. It looks almost like the one in the film. Because you know that the toy is like a really sized down version of the gunship in the movie. This one is more, it's a lot closer to the actual gunship. It's just like proportions are different, you know? He's got like engines in places where a door would be on the movie version, you know, like little things. But at first glance, the first thing you think of, Cobra Gunship, it looks just like
This is the size the Cobra Gunship should have been.
Exactly.
This is the size it should have been. Not holding 3 figures total.
Yep, I agree.
It should have held at least 6.
Yeah.
At the minimum.
But
you could probably post pictures of it in the video.
That's true. I could do that. I was gonna do this more of a like podcast type deal, but yeah, I could do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's fine.
Yeah, you guys should check that
really
out.
Good job.
Yeah, it's pretty damn dope. But yeah, that's our perspective on this whole Cobra thing. I feel like a lot of people kind of undersell Cobra, either due to lack of imagination or lack of understanding of how, you know, this threat should work. It can't be, I mean, and if you want them to be a very small threat, like a one-time thing, then hey, do your thing. But it doesn't seem logical for them to be one-time threats. And
well, if you're going to do that, then give them a bigger threat to deal with after Cobra.
Yeah.
Make up your own threat.
And I'm pretty sure some folks have made up their own threats and stuff. You know, I've seen a couple people pull off, you know, some designs that made sense. But, and pull off some, you know, creations, I should say, that makes a lot of sense as far as enemies for their Joes to fight and stuff. And you know, that's all well and good. I just feel like if you're going to do Cobra justice, you got to make them a big threat. And if you're going to make them a one-time thing, then, like you said, you're going to have something fucking nuts for them to fight, you know, after Cobra. Because, you know, otherwise there's no point.
Yep.
But, yeah, I think, I don't know, that's pretty much all I have to say. I did all this, I was thinking about this for a long time, so it was real easy and quick to shoot this thing out, this whole concept out, all this information out there. But I don't know, you got anything else?
No, I mean, you and I were like-minded, so we pretty much almost have the same perspective on what Cobra we think should be and how you should use it. I mean, it just makes logical sense that that's how you should use it.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it's up to your own interpretation, but to dumb down Cobra, I think is kind of pointless to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't see the point. If you're gonna do that, make up your own threat that's lesser. You know what I mean? That's a lesser threat than Cobra. And if you want to have the Joes do a one time on that threat, you could, and then have to deal with Cobra as well. You could go that route. That's something different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Have them get it from both ends, I guess.
That makes sense.
Which would,
That would
you
suck.
could do that.
Yeah, that would suck.
You could have Cobra set it up as a fucking trap or something. You know what I mean? Go after this fictitious smaller threat after they're like, oh, this will be easy, no big deal. The Joes get kind of cocky. They walk in there, they take care of the threat. It's like almost too easy, and then Cobra ambushes them. You go that route, or I mean, that's a simple fucking thing to think of, but it's nothing not like I'm reinventing the wheel here.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just ideas like that are simple to think of on the fly.
Yep, I agree.
Just have fun with it. That's the whole point. Have fun with how you use your verses and your Joe verse or whatever that is.
Wow. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
But yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Gotta have fun with it, and you gotta make it work. Don't dumb it down. That's probably the worst thing to do, is to dumb it all down. No need.
Think of some new characters too. I don't see enough of that.
Of new characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see enough. I see a lot of the same old shit.
Yeah.
But I don't see enough new characters, especially on a lot of the fan pages. It'd be nice to see new ideas. I mean, shit.
That would be dope.
So I'm saying, have fun with it. Think outside the box, like we usually say. Think of some new ideas. Think of some fun stuff to do, and doesn't have to all be thought up in one day. Take your time with it.
Yeah.
Write stuff down so you don't forget. I do that all the time. Horrible ADD, and I have to write everything down.
Yeah. I agree. I don't, and I still write stuff down. I was actually working on some stuff today.
After I have dreams, I write my dreams down.
Yeah.
Some of my dreams have turned into ideas that I've woven into stories of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, Cobra. That's what we think of Cobra and the threat they pose to G.I. Joe and the world. So I guess as usual, since this is just us sharing ideas, let us know what you think. Respectfully, of course.
Yeah.
And
let's keep the fucking the bullshit in the comments to a minimum. Thank you, fuck you, bye.
but we'll
I'm just kidding. I love y'all.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have much more to add to it. I think we've covered enough. So yeah, hit us up in the comments, and that's it for us. You've been great. Peace outside.